Hi everyone, thank you for being there. I'm Loën Boban from EPFL and today I'm presenting you my recent work entitled An Embodied Body Morphology Task for Investigating Self-Avatar Proportions Perception in VR. So first, a little bit of context. In VR, a wide variety of avatars can be embodied, such as a virtual duplicata, a body of a different color, of a different shape, a robotic body, or even a child body. Thus, users can embody various avatars as long as they are sufficiently anthropomorphic. These requirements on the avatar can be interpreted as the conditions the virtual body has to meet to be considered by the brain as a credible body counterpart, so that the experienced sensations are considered as coming from this virtual body. Consequently, the acceptance of an avatar can depend on the perception of the body itself. It does make sense to study the body perception in VR. The flexibility of the body representation in VR echoes inaccuracies in the perception of one's physical body. For instance, Fuentes et al. Investigated individuals' perception of body part size and overall body configuration. Participants were given a blank drawing with only a human head and were asked to place 12 body parts relatively to the head. Here you can see the average true silhouette of the participants, and here the average perceived body organization. Authors observed that the length and width of the upper body were strongly overestimated, while the length of the legs was strongly underestimated. Body perception can also be investigated by asking participants to assess the similarity between one's real body and a visual representation of a body. For instance, in Hashimoto and Iriki's work, participants were presented with manipulated images of their own body. They had to judge whether the image corresponded to their own body or not. Authors observed a tendency toward a self-attribution of distorted photographs corresponding to a thin version of their body. Importantly, perception is influenced by the context. It is exemplified by visual adaptation, that is a shift in perceptual judgment after the exposure to influencing stimuli. For example, in this experiment, after seeing a picture of a thin version of their own body, participants judged a picture of a thinner body to be the most realistic one. Critically, this after effect was shown to transfer across identities, with an exposure to the body of others impacting the self-perception. Overall, research on body perception shows that the perception of one's own body can be inaccurate and highlights that such perception can be influenced by exposure to distorted bodies. Following such ideas, we investigate how embodied VR users perceive their real and virtual body's morphology and how the appearance of others impacts the user-avatar relationship. To do so, we designed a study in which participants were immersed in VR. They were embodied in avatars with various body morphologies and asked to compare them with their real body. While body morphology perception has previously been mainly studied from the prism of weight, the present work proposes to address a different morphological aspect. Based on previous work showing a misperception of the upper and lower body length proportions, we chose to manipulate this aspect of the avatar. Also, to investigate the impact of others' body on one's body morphology judgment, participants performed the task in presence of a virtual agent with various possible body appearances. So we investigate 13 different avatars for each participant, a baseline avatar and 12 distorted variations. The baseline avatar was created based on the participant's actual upper and lower body proportions. Here we define the lower body as the legs and feet, so the baseline avatar reflects the participant's actual leg length. To build the distorted variations, the upper and lower body proportions of the baseline avatar were manipulated. Here you can see the avatars corresponding to extreme values of the distortion. On top you can see the distortion leading to very long legs and a small torso, and on the bottom you can see the distortion leading to very short legs and a big upper body. Here you can see the virtual lab where the whole experiment takes place, including task explanation and questionnaire filling. On the left, you can see the participant's avatar. It is controlled by the participant using a HMD and a set of 7 Vive trackers. On the right of the participant, you can see the virtual agent. It is controlled by the experimenter with selecting in real time pre-recorded motion and voice samples to communicate with the participant. And in front of them, you can see a full-length virtual mirror, allowing the user to fully see their avatar and the virtual experimenter without moving the head too much. To investigate the influence of being exposed to others' body, we chose 3 different agents. The first one is the control one. We chose a small robot because it's not humanoid and thus does not provide any direct point of comparison with the user's body. The 2 others represent extreme cases of distorted mannequin, one with very small legs and one with very long legs. Now the experimental design. The experiment follows a within-subject design. Each participant went through 3 sessions, 1 per virtual agent appearance. The 3 sessions were proposed in counterbalanced order and were completed in 3 different days of the same week. After the 3rd session, a post-experiment interview was conducted. Now let me show you the details of one session. So after the calibration, the acclimatization phase and the first training phase, the first block began. The first block consisted in 65 trials corresponding to the 13 different avatars, each presented 5 times in a pseudo-random order. For each trial, the participant had to first look at the agent through the mirror for 3 seconds. Then the participant was given one of the avatars and performed a small motor task while looking at themselves in the mirror. And finally, participants were asked to answer a body similarity question. The difficulty here was how to ask participants about the upper and lower body proportions of the avatar. So because the lower body was easy to describe as the leg length, and because all the avatars were of the same total height, we asked participants to judge whether the length of the avatar's legs corresponded to the length of their real legs. Once the block 1 completed, participants completed a small second training phase and a second experimental block. The second block was focused on embodiment evaluation and consisted in 3 trials, each corresponding to a specific avatar. The 3 avatars here were the baseline one, the avatar with very long legs, and the avatar with very short legs. The trial structure was very similar to the block 1, with the main difference between the embodiment questionnaire to fill instead of the body morphology question. Before presenting you the results, I need to explain a bit the data preprocessing. So for each session, an acceptance curve was computed based on participants' answer to the body similarity question. This is the gray curve below the colored curves. Based on this curve, the most accepted avatar was computed by taking the mean of the best accepted avatars. Now the proper results. The experiment included 20 healthy participants, including 13 women. We expected participants' most accepted avatar to be a distorted one rather than their baseline avatar. Here we can see the participants' most accepted avatar depending on the virtual agent appearance. We found that the distortion level of the most accepted avatar were significantly different from the baseline distortion level, showing a global overestimation of the leg length. Our hypothesis was thus validated. Next, we hypothesized that participants' most accepted avatar would vary depending on the appearance of the virtual agent. However, we found no difference between the conditions, thus rejecting our hypothesis. Finally, regarding the sense of embodiment measured during the second experimental block, we expected the distorted avatars to lead to lower embodiment scores than the baseline one. Additionally, we expected the smallest drop in embodiment to be associated with the distorted avatar corresponding to the default body morphology judgment bias, so here, longer legs. We can see here that for each virtual agent appearance, the pattern of embodiment is the same. An ANOVA revealed only a main effect of the avatar, so we merged the embodiment scores across the virtual agent levels. The post-hoc analysis showed significant differences between the 3 samples. The baseline avatar led to higher embodiment than the very distorted ones, and the very long-legged avatar led to higher embodiment scores than the very short-legged one. We thus validated our hypothesis. To sum up, we proposed an original embodied method to investigate one's perception of the upper and lower body ratio. We confirm low accuracy in upper and lower body proportion judgment with an overestimation of the leg's length in average around 11%. Such preference was reflected on embodiment judgment, with the very long-legged avatar being preferred over the very short-legged one. And finally, we found no influence of the co-present agent appearance on the body morphology judgment and embodiment. Our results highlight the specifics of our method. Indeed, to the best of our knowledge, the present work is the first to use an embodied morphology judgment method for investigating the impact of others on self-perception. First, by design, embodied methods differ from non-embodied ones, especially by the motor control aspect. It is possible that the subjective feeling of control influenced the body morphology judgment. More precisely, based on participants' reports during the post-experiment interview, it appears that the subjective difficulty of the motor task could impact the morphology judgment and embodiment. Such difficulty is linked to the chosen animation strategy that can be perceived as helping or hindering the completion of the task. Our results emphasize the tight link between body morphology, action, and embodiment. Altogether, Our observations should be taken into consideration when using embodied methods in the context of applications linked to body morphology distortions.